Welcome to another Saturday night and taking it to the nub. I'm your host, Boston Jimmie, and hey, I'm actually broadcasting live from Smoke on the Water here in Weston, Florida, where I just got through covering the second annual chili event with some big names in the industry, from Drew Estate to Rafael Nadal to Espinoza, all competing, Rocky Patel, to compete for the best chili of the year. We'll talk about that in another article. But tonight, I want to introduce Steve Newman, the founder of Cigar Wiki, and Steve is going to talk about his journey and what he's doing in the industry and what you want to be paying attention to. So let me bring Steve in right now. Steve,
Hey,
how are you, brother?
what's up? I just got to correct you. It's not Cigar Wiki, it's WikiCigar.
Okay, WikiCigar. Cigar
Yeah,
Wiki, WikiCigar. We'll figure it out together as we go on, for
yeah.
sure. I'm drinking a nice Malbec here, and I'm pairing it with the new EP Carrillo Allegiance. I think this
Nice.
is the #2 big box cigar on my site this year. Fabulous cigar. So check it out if you haven't tried it. So, Steve, I've seen you out there. You came on the scene. You hit it with like fire and blaze. You're, you're like going all crazy, having lots of things going on.
Yeah.
But the question I get asked is, who's Steve Newman? And you're not related to the Newmans of J.C. Newman.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm not related to the JC Newmans, but I am a passionate cigar aficionado. And I had my first cigar back in 1994, and I've been smoking ever since. So I'm just really passionate about cigars. I really enjoy them, and when I have a passion, I go in 110%.
Well, that's good. And in this industry, you kind of got to do that.
Exactly.
Right? But you also got to be careful that you don't throw too much spaghetti at the wall, because then people start to say, where is this going? So when it comes to WikiCigar, what is your mission? What is this all about? Okay, I've seen the site. I've seen all the other work you've been doing and how much you're trying to bring the community together.
Exactly.
What is WikiCigar's mission?
So basically, I always believed if you do something you love, it's kind of like you'll never work another day in your life. But in reality, you work twice as much, but you just don't experience it as you just love it. So it's really enjoyable. So I tried to leverage my background in technology and bring that to the cigar industry. And I had a lot of ideas, and I put them all out there. And everything I do is based on data. So I put the idea for WikiCigar out there, and I saw that a lot of people were interested. So that's what I pursued. And it was actually inspired by another member of the cigar industry professional Facebook group, Andre Diaz. He writes a blog, and he had a database of hundreds of cigars that he smoked throughout his life, with tons of information about them, profile notes, blender, everything that you can think of. And I said, I love this. I want to collaborate with you. How can we work together? And then it came to me, the idea of a Wikipedia platform would be ideal to be able to bring the most possible information about the cigar community and the cigar industry, because it's user-based. So I wouldn't have to supply all the information. I could just set up the platform. I could preload it with whatever information was already on Wikipedia, and then anybody's able to contribute to the articles. So the idea was really, when I talk to people who don't know anything about the cigar community or the cigar culture, it's very hard to explain it to them. All my friends who don't know anything about the cigar community think it's just old, rich white guys, talking politics and business. They don't really understand what it's about. So I wanted to be able to communicate to people both in the community and outside the community the maximum possible about information about the factories, the cigars, the people, everything that's part of the community and related to cigars.
So in this journey, and you've done other things too, other Facebook groups and pages, but when it comes to WikiCigar, what are some of the things that you've learned in this journey that are going to be put in action to make this one of the go-to sites?
So the thing that's really cool about it, and I launched it on, let's see, December 18th. So it's been about a month now. I think it's been about 4 weeks now. And right away, it got a lot of traction because I do run that community, the cigar industry professionals, and I posted up in there and people started clicking on it. Different people started submitting their bios, and it went viral because when somebody creates an article on the wiki, they share it on all their social media, their friends view it, their friends share it, and in 4 months, I have over 1,400 unique users and I think I'm at 15,000 page views in 4 weeks. So it's very viral because people like to share the content that they write about themselves.
So let's dive into it for a second. I'm going to open it up here. I'm going to share it on my screen. All right.
Okay.
Talk to me about what I'm seeing here.
So first you see who I'm very grateful to is the Select Draw advertisement. He approached me and said, hey, I really like what you're doing. Can I advertise with you? And I created the banner for him. And then if you scroll down, you'll see he's the featured article of the day.
All right. So you're doing a contest right now.
Yeah, I'm doing a contest. So if you click on the list of top cigars of 2022, I'm accumulating all the top lists, top 10, top 15, top 25 lists of 2022. Anybody is welcome. Any enthusiast, any professional. I hope to have a list with many hundred of lists on here. So I'm running a contest right now. Whoever submits a list, all you have to do is send it to the email on the homepage. I'm selecting one random winner, and I'm going to give them a 3-month subscription to Luxury Cigar Club. So you can see, like, there's Andre's list right there. He's the guy who inspired the project in the first place, and it links back to his list. So it's helpful to get people to get back to the source of the information.
So this is powerful. This is powerful from an information portal, and it's also powerful for people that are in the excuse me, in the industry, whether you're a brand owner or a media site, to help additionally draw traffic to your site, because you get out there, and if I go in and subscribe to WikiCigar, I can go in and create my own content to share to people, right?
And something that's kind of cool about it is, if you go to the most, can you go back a screen? And go back another one? And click on the most popular articles. A lot of people have businesses, but they don't, on their websites, they don't actually have any information about the people, or like what they're, like Matthew Tobacco wrote about what his childhood was like, what his involvement in the cigar industry is. If you go to M, he's a good example.
This one here.
Yeah, so it's a lot of information that you wouldn't really put on a normal website, but if somebody wanted to do some research on you, they can find out what your personal life is, what all kinds of interesting facts that you wouldn't normally put on a website because it's not really appropriate for that.
Now, when you title this popular articles, what does that mean?
So popular articles are all the newest articles that are submitted. So if you click on it, I think we have 50 that were submitted in the last 4 weeks. There's 46, it says.
Okay.
So
So how
another
does
thing,
this change?
so anytime something's updated, it's a category. I put the category on it and then it gets updated. But another thing I want to mention is that a lot of people don't know there's over 10,000 pages on there. So if you go to search and you click in Tampa, for example, go back to the search and just type in Tampa. Scroll down a little bit. Tampa cigar maker strike of 1931. Nobody submitted that article. That was taken from Wikipedia. If you click on it, there's a whole article about this, a cigar maker strike that happened back in 1931. There's over 10,000 pages of different cigar content. So you can search anything, Cohiba, Marvin Shankin, Cigar Aficionado, it's all in there.
So as the further you drill into what would be on Wiki, so I'm going to click on the history of Ybor City. It keeps coming back. So you're able to, your connection brings that Wiki information into WikiCigar.
Yeah,
So
so you
you're
see
never
this,
leaving this page.
so it's nested. So you click on a link, it's nested within the wiki and it brings more information up.
Very cool. Very cool.
A lot of people, I look at the analytics and a lot of people just click on the most popular articles. They don't realize there's over 10,000 pages of content on there.
Yeah, people have to learn how to do their own searching and no, that'll be organic. That'll happen over time because people will start using it. I mean, even my site, you could search my site for tons of content. I've got like thousands of articles out there over 10 years, and people still don't use the search. They use the menus. They go in, and that's the simple way. But if you can go in there and just search on things, you went into Stogie Press and typed in Espinosa, you get all the shit about Espinosa cigars or all the things about H. Upman. You'll see all that stuff show up. But
Right.
what you're bringing is all the other content that people aren't writing that it's already been written. It's already
Everything on
out there.
Wikipedia, everything related to cigars that's on Wikipedia, I think it's like 6,000 or 7,000 articles, is on my site. So that's what I think is really cool about this, is because not anyone can go on Wikipedia and create a page. It's a very lengthy and hard process to get approved. But for this Wikipedia, and this is something I want to emphasize because this is really important, anyone who creates a page, any edit that happens to it has to be approved by me. So if you're a page owner and you don't want anyone messing up your page or writing anything about you, I'm gonna allow the edits, but only if it's approved by the page owner. So I'm gonna send you a message and say, look, Boston Jimmie said you opened in 1975. Is that accurate? Can I add it to your page? Or would you rather I didn't? So you have complete authority over what is on your page, and that's very important to know.
And that's good. Now, how do you find the time when this thing grows? How does it scale for you to do that?
So
To
right
maintain
now,
it?
I do have a guy who's an admin who like formats everything. So the way a traditional Wikipedia works is users log in, they create an account, and they edit the articles. Most people don't know how to do that. So the way I've been doing it is I say, just email me your pictures, your text, whatever links you want, and I'll format it for you. But eventually, I hope people learn how to actually log in, make an account, and create their own content so I don't have to format it for them. I do have one assistant. He does all the formatting. He uploads everything. And if it does scale, I hope to get some advertisers so I can pay people to actually fact check and format the content and solicit new content from other people.
So you have reached out to various members of the industry. I know you've reached out to me. We've had numerous conversations about this. I have got to do my due diligence and put my content up and get you all the information. I apologize, but there's only so many hours in the day. I found out one day, it's like, I don't know where it goes, but how has this been received by some of the large players in the industry?
So I don't know if I've reached them yet. You know, Carlito was really enjoyed that I did an article on him and he thanked me for it. So he's probably the biggest person that has actually given me feedback on it. But you know, it's I'm I'm not really known by a lot of people in the industry. I'm known by a select few people, so I still have to build that trust and let people know that they can trust me giving me the information, and I'm not going to manipulate it or anything. So it's all about building those relationships. So right now I'm just reaching out to people and saying, hey, this is a thing, it's getting a lot of attention. If you want to get 100 views a day, that's what the typical new article gets, anywhere from 100 to 200 views a day. It's a good opportunity to get some visibility to who you are, what you're about. And so I'll send messages. I send messages to different people and just say, would you be interested in creating an article? It's very easy. Just email me the text, the links, and a photo, and I'll do everything for you.
That sounds like a lot of work, Steve. God bless you. It's a lot of work. Now, you personally are a data scientist, right?
Well, that's kind of a big term because, you know, I did study data science, but someone to call themselves a data scientist has to work as a data engineer first for many years. So I don't like to really claim that I'm a data scientist. I would say I'm more like a data engineer. A data scientist is someone who's writing algorithms, which I have done before, but they do it for a living repetitively over and over again for many years. So I'm much more of like a data engineer. I can scrape web pages and get information. I can write some algorithms. I know a little bit about artificial intelligence. I created a couple web apps, you know, like a cigar recommending and pairing application. So I know the ropes, but to call myself a data scientist might be a little bit of a stretch. I'm more of a data engineer.
So I would call it, is it fair to say you're a data geek?
I'm definitely a data geek.
You love data, right? And what you're trying to do here is not just curate information, but you're also trying to provide stats on this information, popular things, being able to show people the best places to go to get the quality, validated knowledge about cigars and the cigar industry as a whole, right?
It's actually interesting that you mentioned that because I do want to address something. You know, I had a big life transformation. I had like a life or death situation a couple of months ago, and I realized I had done some negative things. I had some bad habits, and I just want your viewers to know, and everybody who's watching this, that I did some things that I regret in the industry, you know, maybe to draw attention to myself or whatever it might have been. But I want everyone to know that I'm a new person, and yes, I'm very data driven. And my interpersonal skills aren't the best. It's something I'm always working on. I'm much more the analytical kind of person. And anybody who knows anyone who's in tech knows that tech people are usually don't have real like great people skills. So that's something I'm working on. And I apologize to anyone that maybe I offended or did something wrong to in the past. I've really taken a new change. I've changed myself for the better. I went to a dark place and I came out a much better person.
Well, good. And you know, sometimes people do that, and that's okay. You know, you have a passion, and sometimes I get accused. My wife will tell me I have other passions too, and sometimes they kind of take over too much. And she's like, "You got to slow it down. You can't do everything at once." You know, and she'll tell me, stop pestering that one person because they don't really want to talk to you about something. And they're like, yeah, but they should stop the argument, stop the discussion, move on, move to somebody else, do something different. So yeah, I think we're all guilty of that at times, but I'm glad you were able to recognize that and put it out there. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I sincerely mean it. And I can say, you know, you learn from your experiences, and I feel like I learned a lot in the last couple of months, and especially because with this project and a couple other projects I'm doing, I really want to see it be successful and be something positive for the community. And I hope to bring this technology to the industry and help move it forward and advance it and really contribute something that I hope to be meaningful and valuable to the community.
Good. Now, we already had some comments in here about please send me the site link. So I already put that in the chat. So it's wikicigar.org. You'll be able to quickly click that and go right there. It's a simple URL. It's not some complicated thing, you know. So yeah. I appreciate that you were able to keep it simple, because it's hard to do that in the world today because so many people already have what you're thinking about, and you found something that nobody has.
Exactly. Yeah, there was another a WikiCigar, but doesn't have any information on it, and it hasn't been used in many years.
Right. Okay. Let's take a break here. Let me give the shout out to the advertisers. Sure. And when we come back, let's talk a little more about your journey. And then there's some other things I know you want to discuss, and we'll get into more about who Steve Newman is.
Okay, I appreciate it.
All right. So let me do a share here. Oh, hold on. I gotta stop that. Sorry. I'll do that one more time. I put the sound on. And today's show is brought to you by Casa Cuevas Cigars. In the 19th century, Juan Cuevas, Spanish immigrant from Santander, began what was to be a family business which now spans 4 generations. Like others fortunate enough to live and work in Pinar del Rio province of Cuba, Juan commenced cultivating tobacco, turning it into a successful business. Following in his father's footsteps, his son Juan Jr. continued with the family business, successfully expanding it until events which took place in 1959 forced a dramatic change. Years later, in the Ciabo Valley of the Dominican Republic, Luis Cuevas Sr., Juan Jr.'s son, carried on the family tradition of handcrafting fine cigars in the family's cigar factory, Tabacalera Las Lavas. Today, Luis Sr. is joined by his son Luis Jr. in the manufacturing and sale of premium long filler cigars at their factory, Tabacalera Las Lavas in Santiago, Dominican Republic. So check out Casa Cuevas Cigars at www.casacuevascigars.com and on their Instagram and Facebook channels.
Introducing Blackened Cigars, M81 by Drew Estate. A dark, bold, and unapologetic cigar collaboration.
My job is all about taste. So when James mentioned he wanted to create an exclusive cigar, I was stoked.
Like Metallica, Drew Estate has some of the most hardcore fans out there. I've known Rob Dietrich for years, and when he approached me to collaborate on this, we couldn't be more excited. I mean, Metallica, Black and Whiskey, and Drew Estate, what could be a better passion project? Needed to craft a cigar unlike anything in our portfolio.
One that would take cigar fans on the deepest, darkest, heaviest journey into the mystical world of Maduro.
Full-bodied with notes of espresso, leather, and dark chocolate. Blackened Cigars, M81 by Drew Estate.
Before you light your next cigar, be sure to check out Cigar Medics, the makers of the patent-approved humidimeter. The humidimeter is a tool designed to display the relative humidity inside your cigar. With this device, there's no more guessing. Simply insert the probes into the foot or cap of your cigar, and you can instantly know if your cigar is ready to be smoked. Buy now on cigarmedics.com and see site for other cigar accessories. With the humidimeter, you'll know when to hold them and know when to smoke them.
And today's show is brought to you by Bocock Brothers Cigars, a new and active brand founded by 2 Honduran brothers, Bryant and Douglas Bocock. The brand zeroes in on those folks that are looking for easy to smoke cigars inspired by unusual circumstances. Very importantly named after their very interesting and imitable last name, Bocock. Right now, Bocock Brothers is featuring their signature edition, made at the AJ Fernandez factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. It features an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, a Nicaraguan Habano binder, and a Nicaraguan filler. Available in 3 popular formats, a Robusto, a Toro, and a Gordo. You can check out Bocock Brothers cigars at www.bocockbrothers.com. And today's show is brought to you by Platinum Nova Cigars. Platinum Nova is a family-owned and operated premium cigar company. Only the highest vintage tobacco and the most skilled hand workmanship go into the making of each Platinum Nova cigar. This results in a timeless blend of art and craftsmanship. The Nova brand and the family's work are a tribute and an honor to their grandfather to always remember him and his infinite passion for the finest cigars. Their love for cigars started with their grandfather, a dedicated master blender and entrepreneur in the cigar industry. So the next time you're looking for that exquisite cigar experience, pick up a Platinum Nova. You can check them out at Platinum Nova Cigars, www.novacigar.com, and on their Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter channels. All right. Always love my advertisers without them shows. Always a little harder to do. And reach out to them. They should be part of Cigar Wiki too.
Absolutely.
So,
So I bet some people are probably wondering how I'm monetizing this and how I'm paying for it, because
yeah, me too.
It's not cheap to host 10,000 pages, as you can imagine.
Nope.
So how much time do we have? So I have an idea of
we got 30 minutes.
So the monetization idea is actually another project that I'm working on called Cigar Community Directory. And what that is I'm trying to solve the problem of all the social media sites, everywhere where the cigar community gathers, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, we're all being censored, pages are getting taken down, we're getting shadow banned. And eventually one day, who knows, they might just say, forget it, we're done with you. We're going to drop you all and just drop all your content, all your groups. Nobody knows, really, right? So I had this idea to create a cigar community directory for every member of the community, enthusiasts, representatives, organizations, people who do cigar tours, people who have cigar jobs. It's a directory for anyone in the cigar community, and anyone can create a profile. It will have every single cigar job listed on it that anyone submits, every contest that's going on. You can type in your zip code and see what events are happening locally. So that's how it's going to be monetized, because I'm going to have banners on there, and that's actually a membership site.
So a membership site, I know I was sat through the fantastic seminar that you did the other day with the Cigar Mobile Lounges. And I know that site is you do that as a subscriber site, which is like $5 a month for that community. Is this going to be the same pricing structure?
No. So basically 90% of the features are free. You can go on there, you can click on jobs and see any job that's anywhere in the United States or around the world.
Like a LinkedIn kind of format.
It's a directory. It's
a directory.
It's a directory. So
okay.
If anyone's having a contest or giveaway, you can click on the button that says contest or giveaway, and there might be 50 or 100 contests going on at one time. So the way the membership works is 90% of the features are free, but the people who are content creators or the people who want analytics on their data, they pay either $10 or $20 a month. $10 a month is for like content creators, and $20 a month gets you in the newsletter that goes to every single member.
Okay. So a little traffic, a little help, whatever people can use it for. I see great value in that. I've had people ask me in the past, why don't you just put up a whole calendar of events? And that's not easy to do, because unless you have to dedicate the plug into that to find all of that. How do you discover these events? Or are you expecting the people to put that in?
So like I said, I'm a data engineer, so I know a lot about web scraping. So I'm able to scrape a lot of data and get a lot of information on there pretty easily. For example, on the wiki, I scraped over 5,000 different cigars and all the information about them and put it on the wiki. So I'm able to, so for example, for the directory, I scraped every single cigar group on Facebook, and it has a link to it and the description and everything, and that's all going to be preloaded onto the directory. So if anybody's looking for a particular cigar group, it will be very easy to find.
Okay. So I would recommend anybody's watching this now or in the future to go check it out. Go to wikicigar.org and you'll be able to participate in this journey. I think this is an admirable site to be out there. It's a great aggregate. And if you're in the media world, Steve's going to drive you more traffic. Okay. Because your articles are going to show up in there. You're going to click it and it's going to take you to that article. So that's going to help in the media side. If you're in a cigar business, you're going to be able to quickly find consumers that are looking for specific things. Are you data analyzing this now to find out what the most popular searches are to help you drive that back to those particular manufacturers, and those that aren't driving that hard, the same? How are you planning on doing that?
So basically right now, anytime a new article goes up, it gets on average 100 views the first day. So I have very detailed analytics of everything I know. Anyone who is familiar with Google Analytics, you can see tons of information. So for example, I just released an article that my friend Josh Cannon authored. Is plume mold? Is cigar plume mold?
It's got a bazillion hits already, probably.
It had 300 hits on the first day.
Guaranteed. It is a controversial subject. I saw that. And every time that comes out, it's a very controversial subject. I saw some very interesting comments on that I haven't seen in the past, which will let people just go there and read it and look at the comments and look what people are saying. But yeah, so kudos to you. Join the club. You get hits when you put out plume versus mold.
So that was actually your idea, so I got to give you credit.
You don't have to let the world know that. I'm giving you. It's all about you.
So the next article I'm going to do is on boutique, artisanal, and craft. So I'm looking for data on different people's definition of boutique, craft, and artisanal.
Right. And what is your perception or expectation of that to be? What do you think those are going to turn out to be?
Everybody has a different definition. So my friend Josh is a scholar. He works at the University of Pittsburgh, so he's very good at research, and he's helping me out. So he's looking for sources of information that he can write citations back to the original source. And I know, for example, the Boutique Cigar Association, they have a definition for boutique on their website. It says they produce 1 million or fewer cigars a year.
But I've been called out on that. So in the beginning in Stogie Press, I was the guy that focused on what we would call boutique. But I've learned over time that a company like General Cigars could put out a boutique cigar. It could be a small batch, very specially crafted, very special selected leaf, using extreme quality processes beyond what they normally would do, and produce this limited run of cigars that I would say are boutique. Now, small, different story. Small is easy, right? Boutique, not so easy. So I'll be curious. I'll be watching that as you put it out. I'm looking to see what those comments are, because that makes for a great show to talk about.
And
without a
that's
doubt.
something also pretty unique about the wiki that people don't know. You have the article on the main tab, but there's a second tab where you can have a discussion like a forum. So you can
Mhm.
start a conversation and say, for example, oh, this is what I think about this subject, and then someone can respond to you. So it's kind of like the old forums of the old days on the wiki. So I don't know if you can bring the screen up, but if you can bring it up and show the mold one, I'll show you an example of the conversation.
Yeah, keep talking. I'll pull it up.
Yeah, so the mold one got a lot of attention, and people had a lot of comments to say, and I just said, hey, look, there's this feature on the wiki where you can actually put comments on the article. Do you mind if I post the comments for you so other people can view them? And everybody was fine with it. So that's a unique feature of the wiki, is not only do you have the source of the information, so go to popular articles. And then under I, is cigar mood? Yeah, that one. So you see at the top, it says discussion. Go to the top. See, it says page and discussion. So here's what different people had to say. Craig had something to say. John McTavish, another gentleman, Dogan, Josh, who wrote the article. Everybody, it has a whole conversation going on about what people think about the article.
Fair enough, man. And that's what's important. Get it out there, get the opinions out, let people wrestle through it, and maybe we'll have a definition on this controversial subject, which comes up at least once a year in media discussions on blog sites and online magazines and stuff. So let's shift gears a little. I've talked to you a number of times over the last year. One of the things I learned about you is you are bipolar.
Right.
And when you told me that, and you said it doesn't have to be in confidence to let people know, and you wanted to have an opportunity to talk about this disease. I've known bipolar people. I known them from both my children. When they were in college, at one point in time, they actually had a bipolar roommate, and it was a very, very difficult situation to deal with for both the person who is afflicted by it and those that are around them. Talk about your experience and your journey and how it has affected you in life being bipolar. What does that mean for people that maybe don't fully appreciate that condition?
So I might get a little emotional here because I've never talked about it publicly, but it is a very challenging disorder. You know, people who don't know what the symptoms are, you have mood elevation and depression. I've never really experienced the depression, so I'm really grateful for that, because that's very deadly. Most people who are bipolar get very depressed. They can't get out of bed. They can't do anything. A lot of them commit suicide. I'm very grateful that I never experienced that. But I have had the manic symptoms where, for example, you don't sleep for 3 days and you just work straight. You don't have a lot of control over what your actions are, what you say, what you do. Sometimes you can become like delusional and hallucinate, for example. So I'm grateful because I've only had I was diagnosed bipolar in 2008.
Wow.
In that time, I've only had like a psychotic break 5 times.
That's a lot.
Well, I mean, a lot of bipolar people become psychotic, every week or every other week.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I don't know if people are familiar with what the disorder is, but some people experience the symptoms every week, every day, every month. I'm lucky because I've only experienced the symptoms really 5 times because I've taken medication that helps me, and it's really been a lifesaver to modern medicine because I can't imagine what it would be like without it.
Yeah, and like I said, the people I've known, they would go off their meds, and that's when everything spiraled out of control.
Yeah,
So
because you think you're fine and you don't want to take the meds. It's part of the disorder, actually, thinking that you're fine and that you don't need it. You know, a lot of people don't want to have the stigma of having mental health disorders, so they think, oh, I don't have anything, I don't have to take the medication, and I don't want to be labeled as with a mental health disorder. But the reality is you need to take the medication, and that's what's going to help you most.
right.
So what I wanted to say was, back in October, I started becoming manic and was working like 18 hours a day sometimes. I was like,
You had a lot of pots on the stove back then. I know what you were doing, which was you had all these things going on, and I can only imagine. Once you explained to me, I was like, Steve, you gotta focus on something. I think
yeah.
WikiCigar is that focal point, man. If you're gonna go focus, that's it. Spend the time on one thing and make that awesome. And I think people will really appreciate it.
So part of the bipolar, I'm going to explain some of the symptoms. When you become manic, your thoughts, you start losing control over them, and they just start rushing, and you get like hundreds of ideas at a time, and you want to try to do everything at once, and you don't want to go to sleep. You just want to work, and you want to, you know, there's a lot of famous people who are bipolar, are very successful, especially like musicians, because they work so hard, and they're so dedicated, they're so passionate, they can work, you know, 3 days straight without sleeping, for example. That's what happened to me. And
Yeah.
I did that. I worked 3 days straight. All I did was stop to eat and go to the bathroom. And then I started having a psychotic break, and I went to the hospital for 3 weeks under psychosis. And that's what really changed my life, that experience. And it gave me meaning and purpose, and that is to raise awareness about mental health. So everything I'm doing is to support that mission.
Very good, and that's very admirable, and I do love hearing that from you. It's very sincere, and I think that's important to put out there. So thank you for sharing that. Did you, prior to 2008, how did you deal with this when you were younger? You must have had the same problems when you were younger.
I actually did not.
Okay.
You know, what triggered it was a lot of stress. You know, the economy was really bad back then. We had the recession. I lost my job. I got divorced. All these traumatic things happened at once, and I just had a break, and that's what happened.
So it could happen to anybody, basically. You know, that's something to look out for. I'm going to take another quick moment here. I just want to go quick what's new in news and reviews on Stogie Press. And then when we come back, let's work through a kind of a little lightning round and learn some fun things about Steve Newman. So let me just share this screen here. All right, so in Stogie Press this week, come on. I'm working on a single laptop today. So I believe we put out 3 reviews. So the Buffalo 10, okay, came in at a 90. So this is LRT's 3rd iteration of their Buffalo 10 series. This is their economy line product. It's about $5 or so a stick. This is a really fine Connecticut stick. You'll enjoy this for $5. It's not, I won't call it a yard gar by any stretch of the imagination. It's definitely something you would sit down in the morning with a good cup of coffee, sit out on your patio, and just enjoy the morning sunrise. The second one I took a look at was the Drew Estate Legal Provider H99, the Phineas Gage Lancero. This is an event-only cigar. So wherever there's a Diplomat retailer, when they do events, you'll get this cigar as part of a package or buy something, you get this. This cigar came in at an 89. You can read the review. There's some dings I had on this one that unfortunately it had to come in a little bit lower. And then I also took a look at a new brand called JM Patriarch Cigars. This is their Habano Robusto. It came in at an 88. I think the biggest issue with this cigar, more than anything else on there, was that there was a point early in the burn where I was getting this acrid, I called it acrid dirt. If you know what I'm saying, it's okay to have that earthy taste, but sometimes you get this dirt, acrid dirt note, and it's just kind of overpowered the blend to where it became very difficult to get through. And then once I got through, things got a little better, but it wasn't a very complex cigar either. So it was had a lot of muted notes. There could have been more things that were pushed up to the front. So it came in at an 88. As far as news goes, there were some news things. Espinosa has announced a wholesale price increase. They're raising their wholesale prices 5% this year. They are the second one to have done that so far. I know there are others. I've talked to a few. They're going to be making announcements. So the price of cigars are going up at the wholesale level. Whether that translates into retail is up to the retailers, but they just can't maintain the cost of doing business anymore and keep it at the levels. So you'll see price increases this year, I think, more. Placencia announced their year of the rabbit. So look for that. This is coming in a really beautiful box. But this is a very pricey cigar. I should open this up for a second. This cigar is costing $52 a cigar. All right. Just get your head wrapped around that. So $52, that cigar, I would expect would burn pristinely and give you a lot of enjoyment for an hour and a half plus. The other news article that came out was that Operation Cigars for Warriors announced their 5th major donation. So they just received a donation from Cigars International for $40,000 in gift cards to be used by U.S. troops overseas in combat zones. So kudos to Cigars for Warriors and all that they do for our troops overseas. And EP Carrillo was the second one. That was the first one that I had that they have an average 5% price increase. They actually have some that went up close to 10%. So keep an eye on that. These prices are going up. They did not raise the price, obviously, on the Allegiance, which just came out. So that price is set at what it was when it was released. And of course, the cold weather smoking tents episode is now up on the YouTube channel. Let's come back to Steve. All right.
So before you get to the lightning round, I just did want to mention one little thing because you did mention Cigars for Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working with Cigars for Warriors for the last year as a volunteer, and I'm actually partnering up with them on my mental health initiative. So I founded an organization called vitalsignsbridges.org, and that's what I'm using to raise funds to support mental health. So what I'm doing a little differently, and I'm working with Cigars for Warriors on this, is I'm bridging the gap between the mental health care system and where it fails the patient based on my experiences and everybody else's experiences. I'm bridging the gap between the patient experience and where the mental health has failed them. So I'm launching a webpage called Vital Signs Bridges, because every time I was in the psych ward, they checked my vital signs to check that I was still alive and doing well. And Bridges is to bridge the gap between the patients and the mental health care system, because anybody who's been in the system knows that it's a really shitty system and it doesn't work for most people.
Right. And we got to get it fixed for sure, because it's such an oversight on the part of society when we look at mental health. And there's so many people that are afflicted by various issues in the spectrum across the board. And I applaud you. You're doing great work. The only thing I'll continue to say to you, Steve, as I've gotten to know you, is don't overdo yourself. Okay. Try to continue to stay focused on things. if you put too much out there, I fear for you in the sense of what that'll do to you mentally, to be all over, to kind of get that success under your belt and then continue to do more things.
So I just want to say, I have 3 principles that I live by every day, and I realized this through this transformation. The first is be kind to yourself, no matter what. First thing, always be kind to yourself. The second thing, the second part of the first one is be kind to others. And then the second thing is don't try to make other people's lives more difficult. Everyone's kind of suffering in some kind of way. And we can all just be considerate of other people and try not to make other people's lives more difficult. And then the last one is try to learn something new every day, even if it's from a negative experience. We can all learn from something every single day and grow and move forward.
There you go. All right. Beautiful statement, Steve. Let's talk a little more about Steve Newman, the human.
Okay.
What was your did you play sports in school?
I was a skateboarder. I was kind of like the rebellious kind of type.
Okay. All right. And how good were you at skateboarding?
So you want to hear something funny? I worked as a photographer for like 10 years as a documentary photographer. And because I love skateboarding so much and like the rebellious nature of it, I did a documentary project on San Francisco bicycle messengers. I documented them for 3 years. I had over 5,000 photographs of different bicycle messengers doing their job. And I run a very successful Instagram page called SF Messengers. And it's actually, some of the posts get like more than 5,000 likes on them because the community has kind of fallen apart and people submit photos from like the 80s and the 90s. And it's everywhere from the 80s to the 2000s of San Francisco bicycle messengers. And nobody really knows that about me, but I go live with them all the time. And I love to hang out with those guys because it reminds me of my childhood.
Have you had an opportunity as a skateboarder to ever meet one of your idols?
I have actually, because I grew up in Los Angeles and Venice Beach was like the hub of skateboarding back in the 90s. So like Christian Hosoi, Tony Hawk, all the guys who were like the biggest skaters all hung out in Venice Beach, and you can meet any of them, go shake their hand, go. Most of them were doing like crack and drugs and stuff, but you could hang out with all the skaters back in those days, back in the early 90s.
What is your favorite music genre?
That's an easy one. I like a lot of music, but I'll always be passionate about classic rock like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd. I was a musician in high school and all my friends were musicians. So I was like in different bands and stuff. I played electric guitar, and Led Zeppelin was probably my favorite band to do covers of.
So what is your favorite riff?
It's gotta be either A Whole Lot of Love or Black Dog or
I keep trying. I'm a frustrated bass guitarist. Been playing bass guitar since 1977, and I still have no rhythm, my wife will say. I was not gifted with such a talent, so I suck at it. But one riff that I always want to work on the bass guitar is the Lemon Song by Led Zeppelin.
Dun, 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 dun.
Just such a cool riff to play through. Not easy, but I'm working it. And as the older I get, push towards retirement, I think maybe that bass guitar is going to get cleaned up a little more, and maybe I actually start playing it more than I have in the past 40 years.
But as I got older, I was more attracted to music that had some kind of social message, and I found that hip hop and rap was probably the best form of music to communicate those social messages. So as I got older, I became fans of like Tupac and a lot of the like Dead Prez and a lot of these a lot of music that had a lot more meaning and social purpose to it, to expose all the different things that are going on in the world. I really appreciate that about that genre.
That's a lot to unpack there, because I can listen to rap and hip hop, but for me, being a classic rock and roll lover, okay, it gets boring. Okay, it's like disco. It got boring after a few songs, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go back, and I just want to hear the guitars, the drums, the bass. I just want to get hit with that music.
What was your like number one band in high school that you would listen to most?
So, Rolling Stones.
Okay.
I was Rolling Stones. First concert I ever went to in my life was in 1975. I went to see the Rolling Stones at Madison Square Garden. And I won't go through the detail of it. People have heard it before that may be listening, but I'll tell you this. The date, 1975, the band, the Rolling Stones, the album, it's only rock and roll, right? And the stage, completely wireless.
Nice.
Wireless. Keith Richards running around the stage with no wire on his guitar. Mick Jagger swinging on a rope over the audience, singing songs with all of the energy that
And you
man
remember
had.
all of it in detail.
I remember that concert in absolute detail. It was amazing. First concert I ever went to, and I saw the Rolling Stones 4 more times after that. And they sit at the top. Right below them, I'm going to put the Ramones, because I think the Ramones are one of the most transformative bands ever out there. What they did with the punk era, they commercialized it. They were the ones that were able to get out there and put it into mainstream America, and people followed the Ramones. And
I had a pretty epic first concert actually in the 80s. It was the Beastie Boys and Run DMC Together Forever tour, and that was pretty epic.
Yep. And when you bring up Run DMC, I have to add in Aerosmith, because it wasn't for Run DMC, Aerosmith would not exist today, right? They brought them back when they did Walk That Way, all right? And that was a game changer for both acts, and especially Aerosmith soared after that because they crossed genres,
Right.
and everybody started listening. And I saw Aerosmith warm up for Black Sabbath at Madison Square Garden in 1976. And that concert, Aerosmith, unbelievable warm-up band. I mean, you want a warm-up band to get the crowd going? That would a band. When Black Sabbath came out on the stage, Ozzy, they started doing Iron Man with the chrome cross coming out of the ceiling, and he stopped the music and literally called out Joe Perry and Steve Tyler onto stage and said, you're not supposed to blow the main act off the stage.
You want to hear kind of a funny story about this whole like genre? I used to hang out at the Whiskey A Go-Go and like the Roxbury in LA, where all these bands we used to play.
You're not going to tell me you saw the Doors. Don't tell me you saw the Doors.
I didn't see the Doors, but I did see a lot of big names. And I can remember being like a teenager with my fake ID, sneaking in and like going up to girls and being like, "Can I buy you a drink? Can I get a cigarette off you?" I had no idea what I was doing,
Yeah. Live and learn, man. You live and learn. The older I get, I keep telling people, the older I get now in my old age, I see patterns. I observe patterns, right? Like what we're going through right now. We just came through a 100-year pandemic. 100 years ago, the same shit happened. And then you continue that process. And if you think about the psyche of America, They had shutdowns, lockdowns. They had businesses screaming at people. You had consumers and families and friends battling each other. Masks, no, they had masks then too. The same thing we went through, they went through in that pandemic. And when they came out of that, there was all kinds of issues politically. And you look at what we're going through right now, you start connecting the dots and go back in time and look at the dots. There's a pattern there. And it's a psychological pattern, I believe, of the American society, that they just came out of this, God knows what we went through. And now we're trying to get ourselves back to some normality, and we're getting there, but it's a struggle. And they had the same struggle back then. So go back in time, look at your history, and you'll see an incredible amount of common things between these 2 centuries that we're in. So
yeah, they say history repeats itself, and it's true.
Yeah, because generation after generation repeat the same stupid mistakes.
But you know what? I believe we're still always moving forward and at an exponential rate, because you look at the internet and how far we've come since the internet.
Yeah, well, we have the ability now, as opposed to having radio in its infancy, right? We now have all this in your face knowledge about things. I mean, just think about the cigar industry. Right? In the 90s, you had Cigar Aficionado. That was the source and sole source of information. And then there was some early bloggers. Like, did you know that Steve Saka was a blogger?
I did learn that, but
yeah, he was one of the first cigar bloggers back in the day. And he had some really good stuff that he wrote about. But there was not many on the scene. So your source was there. When the internet really started to take off and people like me and others started to get into the game, it helped people understand more.
Don't forget about Craig Vanderslice. He was one of the pioneers too.
Craig Vanderslice, absolutely, he was there in the beginning. All right, doing amazing stuff. All right, Coop predates me and what he did. So these guys, my brethren in the media, have taken it to the new level. So it's no longer just Cigar Aficionados, Cigar Snob, the Cigar Journal. Right? And then
so you want to know how many Facebook groups there are with the name cigar in it? Because I actually scraped Facebook to find out.
Oh, tell me that number.
There's over 1,000 Facebook groups that have the name cigar in it.
Well, there you go. Because it's important for us. So one last question. You streaming anything these days?
I'm a big fan of like culinary shows, and there's this one on my list that I actually bought on Amazon that I'm just waiting for the right moment to watch. It's about a chef, and his name is Charlie Trotter. He was big in Chicago in the 80s. He was like the biggest chef in the 80s in Chicago. I think it was either Chicago or Washington. Yeah, it was either Chicago or Washington. And I actually went to his restaurant with my mom because a lot of people don't know that I was a chef for 10 years, from the age of 18 until like 28. I was in the restaurant business. But yeah, I want to watch that movie. My brother's a chef now, and he told me that's the best culinary movie he's ever seen. So that's on my list.
I'll add that to my wife's list because she loves cooking, for sure. Maybe she'll have some new recipes for me to lose weight. She's done a good job, I have to admit. I didn't get to where I am by eating the crappy food. So she's got me on the right diet, allowed me to lose 70 pounds in a year. So
well, the martial arts probably helps out too.
The martial arts have definitely any exercise. You can't do diet without exercise. And a diet is not workable if it's not sustainable. You can't have a diet that says you can eat this, but you can't eat that, because your body, from the day you're little, all the shit you ate, still craves certain comfort food, and you got to be able to have that once in a while. Just don't overdo it, and then come back. If you put on a few pounds on a vacation, like I'm here down in Miami for 2 days, I'm being gluttonous. I'm out there, I'm eating crazy food. I'm eating stuff that I would not normally eat. And I'm going to go home and get on a scale. I'm going to be like, okay, I put on 4 pounds, 5 pounds. but I could take that off in a week. Done. I've gone through this cycle, so I know where I'm at. I'm in a comfort zone right now that I'm perfect. Okay. I have no problem with my weight. I have no problem being able to get the weight off if I put a little on. So, and I'm getting to climb Mount Fuji in July. So
That's pretty awesome.
stay on top of that topic as we go on. There's gonna be a lot of good shit about that coming up. So
I actually took up basketball because when I was in the psych ward, we played basketball for an hour every day for exercise. And I really enjoyed that I was so bad at it and that I could take a couple shots and improve every time, just practice over and over and over again. And you see the improvement, you see the ball go in the basket, and that feels really good.
Yep, it does. It's like anything you do, right? When you do it and you do it and you finally nail it, it's like hitting that golf ball. I'm a terrible golfer, right? My best score in golf was in '89, and that was on the back nine. All right. That's how bad I am. All right. But in any golf game, in 18 holes, there's at least one hole where I drive that ball straight down the fairway. It goes 180, 200 yards, and you know the feel. And all the golfers, any golfers that are watching know what I'm talking about. There's when you hear that ball leave the club,
The
and you
sweet
feel
spot.
it, you know you hit the sweet spot.
Yeah.
And it's just this adrenaline rush, right? Your endorphins go crazy, right? It's like, wow. It's like playing that riff that you've been trying to play, or picking up that guitar and just start inventing stuff. And suddenly you become one with the instrument. It's no longer you battling the instrument. It's you and the instrument as one, and everything flows. And that feeling you want to recreate over and over again. And that takes practice, and it takes perseverance, takes an indomitable spirit to go do that.
That was the reason I got into cooking, because I wanted to experience cultures from the inside, not from the outside, as somebody who was actually participating in it. So that's the reason I actually got into being a chef in the culinary arts.
And Robert Day says it's the crack of the ball. I never smoked crack playing golf. I get it, man. Absolutely, the crack of the ball. So we've got Daniel Newfield chimed in from Saskatchewan, Canada. We've got Tyler Garcia's been watching. We've got Michael, our friend house guest. He's still listeling. Very
Shout
nice.
out to all the Beyond crew. I see they're all showing up.
Yep. We've got them all coming in. This is good. Lou Piscatelli on the earlier conversation said a large company can definitely do a craft cigar. I agree with that. Yep. So we got some good stuff coming in. Very nice. Well, we're beyond the hour, and my battery here is about to die. So we were able to get through the hour beautifully. Steve, we'll probably got to have another show eventually, and we'll dig deeper into this journey as the year goes on, and we'll see how WikiCigar grows. And I'd love to get your input over time on how more and more people are getting involved in it and how well it's doing.
My only parting words are that every day I try to express my gratitude, and I'm just grateful for everyone who supported me, including you and Kamish and everybody in the Beyond community that I go on pretty regularly at nights. So all the people that support me, I support you back 100%.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to call the show. Don't forget that this show will be up on the YouTube channel next weekend. Pay attention. I know I didn't have a Wheel of Wonderfulness today because I've been down here. But next week, we're going to do a double Wheel of Wonderfulness. So we'll have all of this put together, and there'll be some cool stuff that I'll be giving away. So with that, I'm going to call the show. I want to thank everybody for listening, and get out there and let people know about this and talk about WikiCigar.